Okay, so the next part of my talk is what is a transdimensional taxi driver? A transdimensional taxi driver was a term coined by the great metaphysical writer Stuart Wilde. And he said years ago, before he passed on, that initiates would arise all over the world, and the initiates would be able to hold space for large areas. Holding space basically means your presence, having a high frequency, perhaps somebody in a new age might say, but having a strong presence, and that presence being able to hold large areas. He called these areas maybe Camelots. I don't live in a Camelot. To me, a Camelot sounds like it's King Arthur or something, wonderful. I just live in a regular kind of town. Am I an initiate? Well, I don't even want to say that. I really don't want to say that because I'm not initiated. I'm not initiated. Am I experienced? Yes, I'm experienced. Am I experienced enough to be initiate? Who's going to say? But I don't know who else is going to do the job. So if you're watching and if you've been on a spiritual journey, you might be called to become a transdimensional taxi driver. What does it entail? Well, if your journey has brought you to watching this video, you have to really consider why you're watching this video right now. This is a come on because it gets used by marketers all the time. While you're watching this, you were destined to watch this video. So I'm not going to say nevertheless you should pay attention, but if it resonates with you, what does a transdimensional taxi driver do? Well, Stuart Wilde said you would be bringing people from one dimension to another. That's Stuart Wilde. Do I bring people from one dimension to another? Well, I don't say I do. I don't say I do. Another famous thing that Stuart Wilde talked about was what was called claridad. 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 Claridad is basically someone who thinks that they're doing things. Magics, for example. Do I do magic? No, I do not. Do I do healing? Well, if I take my crystal and I use my crystal on my body, I can remove painful bits. So, if you consider that a healing, then I can do that. Um, do I do healing when I meditate? Some other people will say yes. But do I do healing by meditating? No. At best, I can say maybe I go into a trance, and maybe something else can come because I'm holding space by being in a trance. I don't want to take credit for healing. It's a safety thing for me. Because if I say that it is me that is doing healing, it sets me up as being some kind of a divinity. I am not a divinity. Am I a benevolent being? Yes. Do I ever appear to be non benevolent? Yes. That's mainly when I'm yelling, screaming, causing a ruckus, mainly. But, I don't think I'm part of the zombie apocalypse, if that's what you're thinking. So, anyway, I don't want to set myself up as being some kind of divinity because, well, it's many reasons. There's many reasons. I mean, some people say, well, I am God or something. And I look at them and I say, you're such a fool. You know, I am God. It's just the stupidest thing. The stupidest thing anyone could ever say. I'm God. Well, for me, my safety is there's always, the thing is way bigger than me. Way bigger than me. And if I say I am God, well, I'm limiting myself to the divinity of this like, little human, which is just so stupid. But people say it all the time. These I am God things, endless stupidity. If you're God, who's going to help you out when you get into trouble? You're God. You, know, you don't need any help. Do I need help? Oh, yeah. I can use lots of help. I can use lots of help in my transdimensional taxi driving. Lots of help. And do I see a lot of help? Nope. I do not. So, if you are looking for a new challenge and you're sick of maybe the business world and the challenge of fighting it out in the marketplace, maybe you'd like to try something completely different. So, Claridad is basically you thinking you're doing something. So, do I go through dimensions? Definitely. I definitely travel through dimensions. So, transdimensional. And taxi driver, well, it's cute, and it was Stuart Wilde. And I've got the t shirt. But another way I might heal is I think when I sing. I think when I sing, it helps to raise the vibration. There's been times when I've been in stale, stuffy bar where the energy was so heavy that I didn't even think I could sing. I didn't think I could sing. It was just like so heavy. It was just like solid wood in there. And I was able to sing, and it was quite amazing. And then the energy felt better in the place. So singing can, well, I'd call that a healing. If you can change a vibe of a room from being just horribly dead and shift it, then that's a healing. Do I sing? Well, it's a rabbit hole. I don't sing. This body sings, but I suppose I breathe. But what comes out in the words that come out, something sings me. It's like I'm an instrument and it sings me, sings my vocal cords. So I suppose by being there, although I'm usually put places. Like when I get in the car and I say, well, I'm going to go to a karaoke bar. Which karaoke bar am I going to go to? I don't know. Sometimes I think, oh, I'm just going to go to the store and, get something. And I drive right by the store. I mean, I'm aware of it, but it's because I don't force my body to go where I want it to go, where the mind wants it to go. It's difficult. But this is what in part of my spiritual journey, is learning to allow the body to do what it wants to do. I would refer you to the teacher Matt Kahn, Kahn, for more information about that. At one point, he had a lecture or something about the conflict, stopping inner conflict. And he talked about how what your job to do is to treat the body as being a separate individual from you, and your job is to train to be an angel. So if you're going to be an angel for your body, you don't push it. An angel does not force. But then I think of sometimes when you see pictures of on YouTube where they've got it on video where some being comes and pushes people out of the way of a speeding car or something. But in general, I don't push. I allow. I allow the body to go where it wants to go. And I think I've done it for so long that I don't know if I even could push it anymore. You know, I don't know if I could. But anyway, if you're a transdimensional, how do I know that I'm going through dimensions? Sometimes, I'll go to the same building, but things will be different. Little items in the building will be different from time to time. So maybe there's a table that I usually sit at, and it's usually a round table, but then I'll come in another night, and that round table will be square or missing. Or the round table that's got a lot of graffiti carved into the top of it will be completely smooth, and there'll be no graffiti. And you might say, well, somebody just, you know, painted it, or they replaced the table. Well, it can make you crazy because then you think you're Truman Show and people are playing with your head. But other things happen. I drive down the street and street lights go on and off when I drive through. I get around things like computers, and computers will crash when I'm around. Sometimes, like if I'm singing on stage, it's like I come to a dead spot. The microphone will go dead for a second. And the other things are sometimes my body will feel weird. Usually it'll feel very cold. It'll feel like it's been chilled, very uncomfortable, chilled, and it'll shiver and shake. And if that happens, well, I mean, I live in a very cold place, so I mean, that shivering and shaking can happen if you stand out in the cold. But this would be usually if you're indoors and then you start to shiver and shake. I usually count that as some kind of a sign that we've moved from dimension to dimension. So in a multiverse, why? I mean, I don't consciously say, well, I'm going to go through to a new dimension. Sometimes I go looking for portals, but I never see portals. Some people say they see portals and they can go through. I never see them. But it's just the odd things that I notice. It's odd things that I notice that make me think that I've gone through different versions of Earth. So I don't, the idea that Earth is one solid globe floating in space, even if you could go out in a rocket ship and look at it, I don't think so. I don't think it's one solid globe and there's only one Earth. I think there's a multitude of things that appear to be Earth. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. Anyway, what a transdimensional taxi driver does more than anything is you just have to be there. And a lot of times you have to be incredibly flexible with your mind. If you're places and you feel like you're under psychic attack, you have to be able to live with that. And sometimes you'll stay, most of the time you will leave and go someplace else. If you feel like your mind is getting scrambled, then live with schizophrenia. You can. Does it go away? Yes. But there's times when it feels like you're just scrambled eggs. There's other times you might feel like your chakras are all being screwed up with. There were times when I felt like my chakra was getting ripped. And it was like, you just, your mind would blank out. Couldn't focus. And it happened. You have to come up with some kind of explanation. Is it viruses or bacteria? Or is it spirits and technologies that can affect spirits? I go with the latter. So, unlike most people who go to running to the doctor when they're sick, I regret ever having to go see a doctor, ever. But I was born into a family and a country and a society that believed in doctors, but I regret ever going to a doctor. You want to be a transdimensional taxi driver? It's very challenging. You'll see things that'll make your head spin.